Give me a pick. Give me your insights. I want the bets from Betting Weekly because we win. That is our motto. Sometimes we win. Sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the bird. Don't give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show. That River sponsor. It's time to start. Enjoy the show. Give me your picks. Give me your.
All right, here we go. Betting Weekly Live here with you on a Friday, heading into the weekend. Mike Carver and Doug Kezirian as we are getting ready for all of tonight's action and this weekend's action. There's tons of great college basketball that we have to get through. There's a UFC and many other things as well. Doug, happy Friday to you. And I thought last night, boom, 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 boom. We were hitting things left and right all over the place. I know we didn't get the daily double, but it seemed like, Doug, everything else came through for us last night except that.
Yeah, look, I was really torn because from a value like edge betting perspective, the prop on Kawhi Leonard's is there, and it's probably should be there tonight. It just didn't hit because he literally might have bet the under. And I hate saying that, but literally there were rebounds where he backed away. The ball was bouncing towards him and he backed away. I'm like, what is going on here? And there were like he let some guys flying in get the rebound. Really bizarre. So it happens, but nailed all this other stuff. I just hate losing best bets. I really do. But nice of I believe it was Steve on the Twitter thanking me for all the other plays I had and everything. So look, we saw the ball really well. Steve from Lynn was there. So you know what? Look, we turned the page. I just don't like back-to-back losses. So we need to get that double, that second daily double win for the week.
We do need to get that. And Petey, first time he's heard the bluegrass version of the Betting Weekly theme song. Well, there you go. You got it today, Petey, for us.
Someone's paying attention.
In the intro there, not him, Uncle Dennis, Frankie the Fixer, getting involved.
Right.
That I didn't stay up for the Hawaii game, but Hawaii just got underdog. They just got there by a half.
Second half went under by a hook too.
By a hook. So we had a pretty good night, all in all, for a Thursday. All right, let's get things rolling here. We do have USA and Slovakia going on right now, live. Semifinal, of course, men's Olympic ice hockey tournament. The winner will play Canada, who came storming back earlier this morning from down 2-0 to beat Finland 3-2. The United States up 2-0, end of one. Goals from Dylan Larkin and Tage Thompson. That second goal, Doug, in the last minute of the first period. I was hoping I'd get out of that first period with only one goal, playing this under 6 here today, but still on the same number here live at Bet Rivers. It's a flat 6 for the total as we head to the second to 2-0.
All right, so let's play handicapper, right? Amateur psychologist, all that stuff. Now, obviously in the medal rounds, very different than a regular season, but emotional win. And then, coming off of that, start strong. Are they going to hit a wall? They being the Americans. Do they hit the wall here?
I do believe that. I don't think
kind of do too.
I kind of said it to you yesterday. I don't see them winning this game like 5-6-0. Like, I just don't believe that they are going to do that here. And look, it's plus 3.5 for Slovakia at plus 102 right now. Plus 3.5.
I think we need to get it like 3-0 or something, and then we can come and kind of pound it, because then they're going to pack the box.
Yeah, that's probably. You know what? You're probably right about that. I think that's where we'll have to keep an eye. Maybe an early goal.
Was the last game high scoring? U.S.
No, it was a low score, and there was an under with Sweden that went to overtime. It was a late Sweden goal to tie it, 1-1, and then it was a 2-1 final. So,
right. Okay, so I think taking the 3.5. So in all of live betting, whether it's hockey, football, whatever, you're really just betting the next little stretch. So in the NBA, it's like the next 4 minutes. College basketball, obviously the under 12s and timeouts and everything. So you're really just saying, like, who's going to score next. That's really what you're betting. Because if you take Slovakia plus 3.5, you think there's a good chance or a chance they score next. If it's the Americans, like, do we get greedy and wait for the next goal, or just wait till, midway through the second, even if it's scoreless in the second? Because you're trying to get the best of the number, right?
Right.
And then with this situation, going down three love is going to be tough to take the 3.5, because then Slovakia has to start pressing. I would probably, whatever size bet I would probably do half right now at Slovakia plus 3.5. And then if the Americans go up 3-0, then you do the other half at 4.5.
The only thing that would worry me right now, and like you said, could change, is Slovakia really gave you nothing offensively in the first period. I mean, nothing. They generated zero against the Americans. So that's the one thing that, because I think to get this 3.5, I think you're going to need at least one front. This ain't going to end 3-0 or 2-0. So you're going to need at least one out of Slovakia at some point, because 4-1 does sound kind of nice. And that's kind of where I was thinking this game might end. But they haven't shown much. Maybe you're right, the half now, and then see what happens here over the first couple of minutes of the second period. See if we can get something going.
And if you know what you're doing, like you do, and you can stuff can pop off the screen, maybe just wait for 2 minutes. Wait for the first 2 minutes, see how they're skating, right?
Yep. Yeah, that makes a big difference too. And like you said, U.S. has been flying here now, coming off a very big, Slovakia came off an over, they're coming. Well, they actually smashed Germany. They're the only team that didn't play overtime on Wednesday in all of those quarterfinal games. So 3.5 and a flat 6 as we get ready for period number 2, going there in Milan. And then hopefully what everybody's been wanting, Sunday morning, United States and Canada for the gold. We shall see. All right, let's kick things off for tonight with college basketball. And we do have a couple of ranked teams in action on a Friday night before we get to a monstrous Saturday slate that we will go through. Let's start in the Big Ten, where Indiana heads to their rival in West Lafayette to take on Purdue. Right now at Bet Rivers, minus 11.5 for the Boilermakers. 149.5 is the total. This is just after 8 o'clock East on Big Fox.
I like the dog here a little bit. The number moving against me is concerned. Now, look, it's a revenge angle. Okay, I get it. But there has to be a number for anyone who likes Purdue, is betting because it's a revenge angle, is not going to bet it. Okay, is it 20? Is it 16? Is it 14? Like, at some point, you have to understand that the revenge angle can only do so much. So I think the number's high. I think the revenge angle should make it like 9.5. Indiana, though, it's going to come down to them making 3-pointers. That's really what it's going to come down to. I just think this Purdue team is kind of flawed at times. Obviously, they're better at home than on the road, but Braden Smith, not, dynamic, All-American like he was. He's had some turnovers. And I will say the one thing is, in the first meeting, the Boilermakers had a lot of success going small because Indiana obviously shoots a bunch of threes. So TKR at the 5 is something to consider, and thus there's props out there for TKR. So it's not everywhere, but Bet Rivers, certain states, over 15.5 points, I think is a really good bet. He had 23 in the previous meeting. He's going to get the usage. I think it's a really smart way to play this game, unless you're like a total blowout of like 30 points. But I think that's a way to angle this. But I lean to the dog here with the points.
I like Indiana too, Doug, honestly. Like double digits really for a rivalry game. I'm with you. I get the revenge angle side of things, but it's just too much. I mean, Indiana's not awful this year. They're not. I know that they're not as good as a couple years past, but they're not an awful team. 11.5. They've beaten them once this year. It's Indiana or nothing for me tonight in this one. St. Louis, who finally lost. They had a really long winning streak going. They got their second loss of the season earlier this week. What was that? Rhode Island beat them, Doug, I believe. Now tonight they are at home for VCU. Friday night Billiken games here. We always love them. Minus 8.5 for them. 164.5 big total.
Well, I've talked about it. These things come in twos, right? St. Louis loses. Do they have a hangover? I don't know. I think it's case by case. And I think the St. Louis is just a solid team. I mean, they're the 18th ranked team in the country for a reason. They're every bit of a legit team. They had won $1 million in a row. Sometimes things just don't break your way. It was back-to-back road games. They're back home. They got Dayton next. Dayton's nothing special. VCU is the second team in the conference, right? So, like, this is a big game. I think the Billikens might have been caught looking ahead. It's a pretty hefty number. I'd probably lean to the dog, but you're really trying to land the plane on a narrow runway here because I don't think the Rams are going to win. So, plus, you're thinking of trying to get this between 4 and 8 kind of thing. It's probably the right side. I think this lands 6 or 7, but no need to get cute here, even on a Friday with not a ton going on.
Yeah, I don't love it, Doug. Like I think if St. Louis hadn't lost the other night, maybe I'd be more inclined with VCU getting the points, but St. Louis at home off a loss, I think I'm going to stay away tonight on that one. Let's do the other ranked game for this evening, finish it out, because there's a lot to discuss here maybe. Miami of Ohio, the final undefeated team in men's college basketball. They are at -8.5 against the Falcons tonight. Bowling Green comes to town. 153.5 is the total. Of course, 26-0, ranked 22nd in the country. And looking at their last couple of games here, Doug, there is not much resistance here. Bowling Green, Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan, Ohio again. They got an opportunity to maybe finish the regular season unbeaten.
Yeah, I mean, some would say this is like the last chance they could lose because Bowling Green can run with them. They lost by 10 at Bowling Green at home. Well, Bowling Green lost by 10 at home earlier this year. I really like this game. So I wanted to lay it. I watched the entire Miami UMass game the other day, and I've been really impressed with this Red Hawks team. Really impressed. Okay. They have 5 guys shooting, let's call it 40%. It's like a couple of them are 39.6, 39.8. 5 dudes who shoot 40% or better from downtown. 4 of them start, and then they're 6 man. A couple bigs, and then Suter and some other guys like stretch the defense. Not quite logo threes, but pretty close. So they put enormous pressure on the opposing defense because they also have slip screens, backdoor cuts, pick and pops. And it's a really complex offense, especially by MAC standards. So I'm in no rush to fade this team. They're 17-8 ATS. They're one of the best shooting teams in the conference. They just have a lot of threes, and Bowling Green is nothing special. That's the thing. I just think it's getting people are getting a little too cute and chic trying to fade this Miami team. And, we talked about earlier this week with UMass. I was on them first half. Now Miami couldn't miss and everything, but it also took Placid, who was like 5 of 5 to start the game from 3 to keep them, within striking distance. And UMass even took the lead in the second half, and then Miami stepped on it, and that was with Suter in foul trouble. So I think this Miami team is like awesome by MAC standards. So I'm betting on them whenever I get a chance. These 2 teams went 176 in the earlier meeting, combined 93-83. So I like the over here. Miami's gone over a bunch, and Bowling Green's dumb enough to kind of run with them. So I like Miami team total over. I think it should be around 81.5 when Bet Rivers posted, but that's my favorite way to play this game. 81.5. There you go. I think they're going to get in the high 80s, 90. Again, they step on their throat. They make their free throws. There's just a lot to like. I think they're really well coached. So I'm all in on this Miami team. Now we can argue if they get in the dance and what happens and all that. But I'm in no rush to kind of catch the falling knife, as we like to say.
Yeah, we're kind of 3 weeks away from that conversation. And Steve says, please don't play Bowling Green, Carver. Well, you don't have to worry, Steve, because I'm not. I've learned my lesson this year. I went after Bowling Green a little bit. I went after Miami of Ohio a little bit in January, and I've decided not to do that anymore. But I think that conversation that you were just mentioning, Doug, is going to come because I think they're going to get through this 31-0 through this regular season at least. And if they got tripped up in that MAC title game, that would stink for them not to make the tournament after having.
Well, they're ranked, right? Which is crazy because they're ranked. So in theory, but a lot of the rankings, like rewarding the season, they haven't beat anyone.
No,
like high up in the Ken Palm rankings. Like it's actually been it's like an Ivy League team going undefeated. This is like when Princeton, those teams. I mean, that's how bad the competition's been. But even Yale and Harvard and Brown would play UConn and stuff like that.
if they go 33-1 and the one is the loss in the MAC title game, people are going to go bonkers if they don't get in the tournament. You know they will. People are going to
Well,
cry.
I mean,
The
this
little
is why
guy
people
never
say
gets a
put all the
chance.
bubble teams in the first four, let
I
UCLA
agree.
play Georgia, and let them, duke it out in
Yep.
the mud, and let them, and then I don't know. I go back and forth just real quick, and this is food for thought for Eddie. Would you rather your school, if you're like, would you rather be a 15 seed and just going to get drilled by a 2 seed, but at least you get to experience the big dance on a Thursday or Friday, the venue all day, all that, and then you're 23.5 point underdogs? Or do you want to go to the first four, but then you're like a 1 point dog or 1 point favorite, and you get a chance to win an NCAA tournament game. But then if you lose, you go home and you don't get to experience the full Thursday, Friday situation. So what would you rather do? I kind of want to do the Thursday, Friday, because you do have a puncher's chance against some of these phony 2 seeds. But there is something to be said about playing another 15 seed and winning another tournament game, because likely you won a conference tournament to get there.
I feel like when they first started doing this, I think teams would have always said Thursday and Friday, but I feel like they've done a better job of making it a bigger thing. And you could see
That's a very well said. I agree.
When these 16s win, though, those 16 versus 16 games on Thursday and Friday night, or even the 11 versus 11, like you could tell there's definitely some juice. And we've seen teams come out of that Tuesday, Wednesday game and go on runs and go on heaters deep into the tournament from the 11, 10 spot, etc. So assuming Miami of Ohio makes the dance, what is their seed ceiling? Steve asks.
Ceiling? Probably 10.
I agree. Completely go undefeated. If they go the whole way, roll through the MAC, 35 and 0.
I don't think the committee has an axe to grind and put them on the 9. They don't want them. They're not going to try to screw them over on the 1-9, the 1-9 matchup thing. I think at 10, they wouldn't mind them making a run.
Make them the 10 against, I would say the weaker 7 and the weaker 2. Put them in that bracket. Give them a little bit of something. Like make them the 10 against sort of not the hardest 2, but maybe the 4th ranked 2.
I'm telling you, with the way their offense moves and shoots threes and a bunch of white dudes running around, I think they could be a darling, like a Cinderella. I mean, Suter's awesome. Like honestly, he bombs. And a lot of times these guys are like 2 inches away from like high major conference action. If Suter was like 2 or 3 inches taller, like he could play in the Big Ten.
Slovakia going to the power play here, Doug, as the United States just took a penalty here early on, and now that 3.5
this is where I would
minus
jump
150. 3.5 minus, so it was plus 105, plus 110, whatever it was when we started the period. You missed W, let that one get away. With still nice, easy cover. Nice one, Doug, from your guy.
Yeah, they should have won outright. I took some live money line once LSU on a 16-0 run in the fourth quarter.
Ooh. A couple more for Friday night, then we'll get to the huge Saturday. Green Bay, of course. We'll go to the Horizon where they visit Oakland tonight. Now Oakland is 6.5 point favorite, 153.5. I'm sure you maybe talked about the Gottlieb stuff earlier in the week when I wasn't here. Is this the game he's missing tonight, Doug? Is this the game he's
out? Yeah, he's out for this game. I don't know if he's allowed to travel with the team, but then he has to stay in the locker room. I know he can't be like on the sideline. Right. I don't think he's going to pull a Davy Johnson with the Groucho Marx
Bobby
costume. Yeah, Bobby V. Excuse me. Davy Johnson's the village idiot, right? The Dodgers. The village idiot could win with this team. Well, they finished 7 games out. I am fascinated by this game because I would be hammering Oakland if I felt more comfortable with them. So Gottlieb's a very good coach. X's and O's, scheme, all that stuff. And in-game decisions, right? Like now they're going to play hard for him, right? He defended his players. They like him. He's going to win one for the Gipper, so to speak. But, there's also like an execution. So I'd look at maybe Green Bay first half, something like that. Maybe. But here's the thing. Oakland has lost 3 straight. Okay. This Grizzlies team, remember Jack Golke a couple tournaments ago with Kentucky, hit like 7 or 8 threes. Now he's obviously moved on. His dad's still the coach. And this team was the best team in the conference, but they're not. They've lost 3 straight. Now they're hanging on to the 2 seed. And if you finish in the top 2, you get a bye in the conference tournament. And then Green Bay, if they win, they might get the 2 seed, or they're at least really in the running for the 2 seed. And if they don't, Oakland beat them by 20 earlier in the season in Green Bay. So I would love Oakland here in a perfect world. without Gottlieb and at home, but they've lost 3 straight. One of them, their big man was missing. They shot terribly in the last game. This Horizon, you could do a 30 for 30 on this season because you had a team that was in like the last place that all of a sudden won 4 of 5. Okay. Where? I don't know how. You have the whole Gottlieb saga walking away from his radio show at Fox and whatever he was getting paid. And all of a sudden now he's, coach of the year candidate in the conference. So you literally could do a 30 for 30 on this Horizon League season. Because I don't know what's gotten in. Is it Northern Kentucky that's all of a sudden won 4 or 5 and coming out of nowhere? Youngstown beat Oakland. Youngstown's the cellar dweller, and they beat Oakland. So I don't know what's going on with this Grizzlies team to the point where the scores are so crazy that we might find out later that girl issues or whatever. There was something going on in the locker room. That's how ridiculous the results of the last 3 games have been. So I just can't bet it. But I'm fascinated by this game.
Yeah, Wright State is 13-4 in conference right now at the top of the Horizon. Like you said, with Oakland, Bobby Moe, and Green Bay all right there for that 2 as they get ready. And Northern Kentucky.
Well, then you have IU Indianapolis, which is like trying to make LMU look like a rock fight team. LMU from the Hank Gathers days. Like it's just it's just such a different experience. And then the road teams have been winning a lot in this conference. So it's actually it's really been like compelling theater and dangerous to bet, but it's been fascinating. Just the sports fan in me is really interested in this game.
Last one for Friday night before we go to Saturday. Listen, you have to throw the records out when Princeton and Brown get together, Doug. I know you always do. You throw the records out when Princeton and Brown get together. Brown, a small favorite at home tonight against the Tigers. I know you got to have some opinion here. Come on, you're Brown.
So this is at the Pits, right? This is at the Pits. Brown's getting a little steam, the Pizzatola. Although, what's the Princeton gym name? Princeton basketball. I'll have a story.
Oh, jeez. They've everyone in the Ivy.
Okay, it's okay. So their swimming pool is named D'Annunzio Pool. I thought it was both. I thought that was also the basketball. I thought it was like the big donor. So D'Annunzio, obviously the Caddyshack references were aplenty when we had like I played there like every season. We had four games at a tournament weekend. A lot of Caddyshack references at D'Annunzio Pool, where I hit the game winner sophomore year to win Ivies.
Ooh.
I would lean Princeton here, but Brown's getting the steam, so you got to walk away from this game. I think this Princeton. I mean, their brand is obviously much more recency than Brown's, and Brown has the worst offense in the Ivies. And remember, I talked about them, and I was fading them earlier in the year. Guess who's in last place now? Okay, Brown. Okay, they finally the water found its level, as we like to say. But this Princeton team, they're second to last, and they've been struggling. And they like we liked Columbia the other day at Princeton, like minus like 3.5, won by double digits, won by 20 actually. So I just think that this is going to be a rough game, very low scoring. I think this is probably a little too high of a total, 129.5. But the Ivies, they just go up and down and chuck threes. The problem is these two teams don't make a bunch. So I'd be careful here. But Brown's getting steamed, and you got to respect the market.
There you go. United States will now go to the power play. Slovakia did not score on their side of things, so now the U.S. will get a power play. Total live has gone down to 5.5. Slovakia is still plus 3.5, but now minus 121 for the plus 3.5.
So they're not buying the American power play that much, huh?
They are not, which has not been that strong. They do have one tonight, though. They had one that was the Tage
also
Thompson
40
goal.
Seconds into the power play, and they haven't scored. So that's
yes. Well,
from where I am.
You got to remember, I have the screen, and I'm probably way behind what the book time is. That's for sure. All right.
Yeah, the game's in the third period of the sports.
What a Saturday we have of college hoops. It's very rare, Doug, that late in February, the top 4 teams in the country are playing against each other. But that is exactly what we get. Let's start with the game just after 3 o'clock East on Saturday, where Arizona, number 4, will visit number 2, Houston. This is now Houston minus 4.5, 141.5 the total.
Yeah, Wildcats have obviously been in the spotlight. We've talked about this gauntlet, right? For just going to the fog and everything. They're thin too. One of the big guys is out for this game. I think the number's probably right. I think it was 5.5 earlier. I mean, that got a little much. I'd lay it before I took it. because I think the gauntlet catches up with Zona, and I think Houston's in a good bounce back spot. They really outplayed Iowa State. It was miracle threes by the Cyclones, who closed the game on a 17-4 run. Okay. I think under's the play. Arizona, unless they shoot lights out from three, which doesn't really happen. And then Houston's still a relatively slow offense. I think the under's the way to play. It's a big number. And I know Zona can push it and drain threes, but I think we're going to be okay here. I think ultimately Sampson's going to disrupt what Cougars want to do. And unless Fleming goes off or something like that, I just think the Houston D will eventually be its calling card. And again, this is a high-profile game, like you mentioned, measured possessions, all that stuff. So 141.5 does feel just a touch too high.
I immediately saw this morning at 5.5, now down to 4.5, and I said, "Man, that feels like way too much. I'm going to be on Arizona." And then, like you said, I dug a little bit deeper, Doug, and I thought about it, and I said, "You know what? This might be that size for a reason. This might be Houston if I was going to play a side here."
Yeah,
but I like your thinking with the
Arizona. This is the Big 12. The new Big 12 is still relatively new. It's not like they've been going there for years. Like Houston felt comfortable at Hilton, right?
Yeah.
But I think Arizona's going to be less comfortable here in H-Town.
Yep. Now the other heavyweight game on Saturday, just after this one, 6:30 East in D.C. at the Capital One, of course, home of the Wizards and the Capitals, where number 1 Michigan takes on number 3 Duke. A rare out-of-conference late February heavy hitter game. Michigan minus 2.5, 148.5.
A few things come to mind. By the way, DC fans finally get to see a winner in basketball play in front of them, right?
Very true.
I like Michigan. Okay, couple things to keep in mind. Shire, and we've said this in recent weeks, they've been blowing out a lot of teams, but in the tight games like Carolina, okay, and then last year in the tournament, Shire has dropped the ball a little bit in game management and execution. Maybe it's just the Blue Devils missing shots, but Shire ultimately is pulling the strings. So I think that has to be mentioned when you have a spread lined at this number. Michigan, we touched on it earlier this season. They were struggling on the road in a lot of ways. Trailed at halftime at Oregon, nearly lost to Penn State, which is just miraculous. But maybe that's not road associated, and it's more just ebb and flow of the season, January, whatnot. I think the Wolverines are kind of hitting their stride right now. And the way Michigan is structured with Dusty May calling, having Lendenberg do it all, they just put such pressure on the opponent, okay? They make you guard them all court. They attack the rack. They make threes. I just think Duke has a little bit of a shock to their system coming because they've played like the team that's favored by 11 points against a lot of their opponents. And I think Michigan's sort of more battle tested. So I think the Wolverines are the way to play this.
I cannot figure out which way I'm going yet, Doug. I don't know. I think you're right about Michigan. Duke, I'm still, what's back in my mind is Duke hurting us in that North Carolina game a few weeks ago.
Right.
Big on Duke that day.
Well, you got to live and learn.
And I've been a little nervous to go back to Duke in a big spot here. But this should be a fun game. Love that they're playing this out of conference late in the season like this. United States did score a third goal, but it was immediately waved off as it should have been. It was one of the most blatant kicks I've ever seen in a hockey game before, as Jake Gensel did his best Lionel Messi imitation, and they took it off the board as he kicked it in. So still 2-0.
To grab 3.5 minus 134 right now. Is there a power play?
They just went to a commercial. I don't believe there's a power play coming. No, I think they just had a stoppage of play, but I'm also way behind. I'm probably way behind everybody for what I'm watching on the screen. Total's down to 5.5 with the under minus 230 on that 5.5. So that's a good thing for me. Hopefully we can stay there. No power play right now from what I see, Doug. All right, moving on. We'll keep our eyes on the hockey. How about Iowa State at BYU on Saturday? This is actually a late night game, Doug, for me at least. 10:30 East out in Provo. Minus 3.5 for the Cyclones, 155.5.
All right, this one's tough because the Cyclones are off a big lucky win. They're so much better at home, but they're on the road here. Like you said, late tip. I believe it's the Marriott Center. Either way, it's in Provo. But the Cougs thanks to an inbounds play on the baseline and a three-pointer at the gun, lost on the first half ATS again. I think they've lost 10 straight ATS first half lines.
Wow.
It's just been disastrous. Now, I was a little uneasy betting it the other day because Richie Saunders' injury changed sort of the flow of the season. They're bigger, that was a different situation. Now they're off a sort of a demoralizing loss, and I think you got to look at Debanza props. I mean, without Saunders, I think he's just going to be gunning, and he did that against Arizona. And I think if we can get some Debanza props, just overs galore. I don't know if I trust the Cyclones here. I don't love their guards. Okay, their bigs I kind of like. I do like their bigs. I don't love their coach. I was hoping this number would be like 5, and I would grab the points. But yeah, I can't get involved here. But it's a lean to the home dog, but not first half, mind you.
They will not be taking that one off the board. 3-0 United States. Jack Hughes with the goal. Just under 8 minutes left in the second period. And that now, of course, moves it on up, I believe. I'm waiting for it to refresh. So 3.5 -1. I don't think it's updated yet on my app. But I'll give you the updated numbers when they come across. There it is, 4.5 for Slovakia now, as everything is refreshing for us here on the numbers. Illinois, of course, they destroyed USC out in California the other night. Now they play UCLA on Saturday night. This is out on Big Fox just after 8 o'clock East. And they're the road favorites, -6.5, 145.5. UCLA coming off that very embarrassing game at Michigan State. Another great Mick Cronin, great depending, I guess, on who you are, Mick Cronin press conference. There you go. The Illini laying the number here, Doug.
Okay, so it's interesting. Underwood was asked about the travel because they just pummeled USC, right? They'd come out west, and he's like, it's fine. We fly private, great food. We have 5-star hotels. There's nothing going on. I just don't – I'm pretty sure that was a slap in the face to the Bruins and obviously Mick Cronin. I think I got to watch like 3 minutes of this game. I think UCLA is limited, okay? And Illinois can just kind of sleepwalk. But I just worry about the 30-point beatdown at USC – kind of hanging out in La La Land. They're not like at Hollywood nightclubs, no. But I just wonder if just being out in the sun and on vacation, like I just wonder if the edge is going to be gone here. I know Pauley Pavilion is like a historic place because I grew up in LA, but this isn't Cameron Indoor, okay? So like I don't know if they're up for this game. This could be just a funky game. And remember, the Bruins beat Purdue at home, right? Like they can get up for this game. They can play well. I just wonder if the team is sort of not quit on Cronin, but they've kind of checked out. Like they're kind of like over him. So it's Illinois or pass. But I had the luxury of not having to play it right now. So I might watch a little bit of the game just to make sure the Illini look sharp.
And I know I keep giving you updates here, Doug, but things are moving fast. The dam is broken 4-0 now for the United States as Eichel scored less than a minute after Hughes. So 4-0 now here. We got
a goalie change.
And a goalie change.
What does that do for your under?
It's probably going to destroy it, is what it's going to do. It's going to destroy it. It's Bet Rivers has it at 6.5 and -127 to the over on the 6.5. So
it's wonder what kind of treatment in these countries like the goalie will get on the way.
I guess if I want to do, Doug, I can still get out of this, right? I have under 6 over 6.5 at -127.
No, you have the slider. You have the slider. You can move.
Yeah, I can give the slider. I'm going to try to sneak out of this period. Hopefully, it's still 4-0 and see what my options are after that. Tennessee at Vandy as well on Saturday as in-state rivals get together. -2.5 for the Doors.
I like Vandy a lot here. I've been waiting to bet against this Tennessee team. They've been pretty much a farce in my eyes. Now, they could be just getting better, and I'm wrong, and I'm going to have to pay, take it on the chin and keep paying for it. I just don't love this team. Look, the freshman's better. The Ament is better, and he's going to be a top 10 pick. I get it, but I just don't think like they're structured the right way. I don't think they're that smart of a team. But they've been on this roll. They did lose at Rupp, but they've been blowing out teams. They've been taking care of business. So I think this is just a really good spot to grab Vandy off the loss in Missouri. So I think it's a great opportunity here to bet the Doors.
And Missouri at Arkansas as well in the SEC on Saturday. That one just after 4 o'clock East. Arkansas minus 10.5 for the Hogs.
Yeah, this number's short. I thought it'd be 13-ish. With that being said, I'm not rushing to bet it, so maybe it's the right number. I like the Hogs here. They've been just a different animal at home, and Cal's going to get his guys up and down running. So I think the Tigers are going to hit a buzzsaw here, and they're just going to be overwhelmed. But I don't. Still a big number, and it's still late in the season. The market's usually tight. It can get a little tricky in these situations. So I just think Arkansas kind of needs the win. You just wonder, coming off that track meet at Bama, like what those legs are like. Now they're young and all that. So I don't know. This could be a second half under too.
UConn off the loss to Creighton earlier in the week, which, geez, losing to Creighton. They head to
17 point favorite.
17-point favorite.
I laid it.
Yeah, that was a bizarre one the other night. They go to Villanova. This is in Philly at the Xfinity, 139.5, and UConn a very short road favorite here, minus 1.5.
I mean, look, we're talking about a top 10 team, and they're 2-2 in their last 4 games, and they're coming off a game where they lost as a 17-point favorite at home. If you can get a read on this Huskies team, be my guest. Villanova plays up to their opponents a lot, all the good teams except for, I think, one blowout earlier in the year. So here's the thing on the Huskies. I actually talked to a Husky fan, diehard, I respect, right before the show. So they're thin. They have a thin. So I think they're hitting a little bit of a wall. They're fatigued. That's the concern there. Also, they're not rebounding great. Solo Ball's not playing great. So we're all waiting for Hurley. I just think we'd be fading this team if Hurley wasn't the coach. I could be like, proof's in the pudding. Believe your eyes. See what, believe what you see. And so, I mean, Hurley's going to flip the switch in the tournament, I think. But I'm in no rush to bet on UConn right now. I think you got to let's let this sort of, solve itself and kind of play out a little bit.
Would you also factor in that on deck is the St. John's rematch on Wednesday for them?
Yeah, but are they good enough to not look on deck after being 2-2 in their last 4?
That's true. After losing to Creighton, they shouldn't be looking ahead to anything after what happened to them the other night. Wisconsin and Iowa on Sunday in the Big Ten. Sunday matchup, as that's just after 4 o'clock East on FS1.
I'm going to quote Trading Places. Whiskey Valentine, all you like. I like Wisconsin. I think it's a good bounce back spot for the Badgers. I don't think the Hawkeyes are that great. Sturts is fine. They're just not a loaded offensive team. Now, Wisconsin, obviously, their upside is really high, and they could actually win it all if you look at some of the futures. It's probably worth a flyer at 100-1 or something. Now, I've also a guy who's said I'm never betting on Wisconsin again or a game involving Wisconsin because they've burned me so much. But I think I can bet on them. I just can't bet against them. They burn me a lot. So I just don't know if I trust the Hawkeyes. I like their coach. McCollum's doing a good job. He's going to be a nice fit there. I just think if this number, I made it 4.5. So if this number is where it is, I think that's the best value. I just think, again, back at home, back in the win column. And I don't know how much is left in the gas tank. They've had a couple big games here.
Yep. Anything for the women's over the weekend?
Yeah, we saw a loss outright yesterday. Tennessee was a 21.5-point favorite, loses at home. I got to double check who they lost to. I think it was A&M. So Tennessee was a big loss. It was a big loss, right? So they lost at home to A&M. Well, A&M's next game, A&M's like 4-9 in conference. So A&M now hosts Arkansas, who we talked about earlier this week. And Arkansas is now 0-13 in the conference play. So this is Arkansas's biggest game of the year. Okay. They have a chance to win, and they haven't won a conference game at all. A&M just beat Tennessee, celebrating like they won the title. Who's going to be up for the game? Who's going to be flat? I think you have to bet Arky first quarter, first half. Now they're not good, but they're not terrible. Sadly, I've watched some really bad basketball this year where they have trouble inbounding the ball. The refs, it's like a parent that's refereeing the game. It's like one of those things. That's not what this is. Like Arkansas can make threes, do some stuff. Like they lost by 9 the other day as a 12-point. Like they're competent enough. I think they're going to be winning at halftime. Like that's where I think we're going with this. So first quarter, first half, I'm looking to bet the Hogs here.
Sounded like you were describing my daughter's third grade game the other night, which is still traveling and other things are not exactly. The whistle doesn't blow yet for those.
Yeah, I went to, when I was in Super Bowl week, I went to my buddy's daughter's. She's 5 or 6, and they had a game where you have to wear a belt, colored belt, so to know who you're guarding on the other team.
Oh yeah, we're beyond that, but we still got a few that grab the basketball like they're the running back and run halfway up the court and then start dribbling. We still got a little bit of that in the third grade.
No steal or whatever. So a lot of passing and it's really like team handball meets basketball.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. And then I got my next challenge tomorrow morning, Doug, our first flag football game for the third grade girls. So I have that next on my coaching docket tomorrow morning. There you go. Big weekend ahead of college hoops, both with the men and the women. Of course, Champions League is going on. And look what we've got for you, Bet Rivers, a Champions League bonus bet. If you bet with Bet Rivers in New York or New Jersey, you can take advantage of a Champions League bonus bet from Betting Weekly. Enter the bonus code BW216 for a $10 bonus bet to use on the Champions League knockout round matches. That code again, BW216. And it's available to Bet Rivers bettors in New York and New Jersey. Offer ends on February the 25th. Must be 21. Eligible players only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Champions League bonus bet for us there. All right, NBA is back. We, of course, came back last night from the All-Star break. And here's Steve. FYI, baseball now every Friday until November. Is it time to start inspecting those MLB win totals? Twins under with Pablo Lopez. Don't you worry, Steve. I have started to inspect the MLB win totals, and we will be very involved as we get closer. But today was, Doug, before I get to the NBA, the first spring training games, as I saw Pete Alonso homer against the Yankees in his first game with the Orioles. And I know there's some Cactus League action today as well. So baseball's back.
Steve Cohen's supposed to be opening up the checkbook. How did he lose the polar bear? That's what I'm still trying to figure out.
How did he lose? That's right. He's got more money than anyone, Steve Cohen. How did he allow
it's a new era. I have a buddy who's raising his kids as Mets fans. He's not worried about it because it's a new management, new everything. Well, he lost the polar bear.
You could throw that under away. 5-0 United States. The dam has broke here. Slovakia held on for about a period and a half, and they have completely let go of the rope now. 5-0.
We didn't bet the +3.5. That'd be some heavy lifting left to make that work.
There would be a lot of heavy lifting. And look, now we can actually start to talk about it as an official thing that's happening, and that's the United States and Canada Sunday morning at 8 a.m. East for the gold medal, which will be.
Come on here. Hold on.
Yes.
-6 feels cheap. If the dam's broken, this Slovakia team, I mean, they've given up, haven't they?
I think that they've given up. Yes.
Well, I guess you don't give up on hockey, but you're trying to just not give up double digits at this point.
I think at this point you just want to stay healthy for the bronze medal game tomorrow, Doug. I guess that's what's
a good point. It's a very good point.
They had to play
I would
tomorrow.
lay the 6 now. Now that I think about it, I'd lay the 6.
Do you think that that's also maybe what? Now, look, it wasn't going well, but maybe they also pulled the goalie because he's going to have to play again tomorrow in the bronze medal game against Finland. Maybe give him a little rest for that. Possibly.
I mean, how exhausting is playing goalie? I don't know.
Well, we talked about this, the back-to-backs, Doug. They don't like bringing them out there 2 nights in a row, especially in Milan.
We used to play water polo, 3 water polo games on a Saturday and then one Sunday morning and then have to go back in a passenger van back.
You will not get an argument from me. No chartered planes for the water polo team. They had the passenger vans. Everybody had the
But we did fly to tournaments. We did, but not chartered. Okay. You're right.
No chartered.
Just ridiculous.
All right. NBA last night came back off the All-Star break. We got a few more teams getting back into action tonight. Why don't we start with the ESPN doubleheader? And the first game there just after 7:30 East is the Mavericks in Minnesota against the Timberwolves. Some heavy lumber in this one tonight. 14 for Minnesota now, 239.5 the total.
Yeah, I mean, no flag is big, no Gafford as well. Look, if there's a team you don't want to lay double digits with in the NBA, assuming it's probably, I mean, I would pick the worst teams, right? You never want to lay double digits with like the Wizards. But if the line is this, like the Timberwolves are the last team you want to do it with. They play down to their opponent so much. But maybe a little bounce in their step after the All-Star break. You know, there's a world where they cover these numbers, right? Like they have covered big numbers before. I can't get involved because the Mavs, whoever they play, whether it's Max Christie, Najee Marshall, Brandon Williams, they're going to play really hard. I'd look at some Najee Marshall, some props there. I mean, that guy goes off, man, whenever the lineup's thin. So I would look at some of those. Now it's not cheap. I mean, you're looking at 17.5 points, but I wouldn't play under. I would not play under on Najee Marshall's points.
Well, I will play under on the game, Doug, at 239.5. And there you see Frankie the Fixer. Good call on the unders. NBA unders went 7-3 yesterday. And I'm doing the same thing tonight. I am going after the game with the highest total that has two teams that have not played yet since the All-Star break. And that is this game, Doug, Minnesota and Dallas. This is both of their first games back. This is 239.5. There are a couple totals bigger tonight, but they involve teams that played last night. So it's their second game back into action. I'm going under, Doug, 239.5 with the Mavs and the Timberwolves tonight.
You had a really good read. Mikey Buckets got there with the best bet yesterday.
Mikey Buckets, I got
I'll tell you what under did not get there was the Pistons game, or sorry, the Nuggets game, because I took that one on the chin on the under, second half under after 97 points in the first half. Yeah, under would be the only way I would play this. That is a massive number for sure.
Big number for maybe a couple sleepy teams coming back from the break. We got it with Atlanta and Philly last night. I'll try it tonight with Dallas and Minnesota. The second game on ESPN is the Clippers, who you just mentioned. So they're playing back-to-back nights. And this is the Lakers' first game out. Now, we have a couple of these tonight, Doug. So I'll ask you, maybe this is for all of them in general. Team first game back, playing against a team that's now their second game. They played last night, playing tonight. Any advantages there?
I did some research on this, so you and I think alike. I think a lot depends on how the first game went for these teams, right? Clippers with a massive, dramatic win. They were down 10 in the second half, came back and beat the Nuggets, and there was some serious drama. They were up like 6 or so, then it was fouling, three-pointers. Jamal Murray gets fouled on a three-pointer with 0.8 seconds left, down 3, makes the first 2, third one, in and out. Jokic actually gets held by Brook Lopez on the rebound, doesn't get called. So the Clippers escape with a very fortunate, very gutty win. Mathurin was solid, played with an edge on his shoulder or a chip on his shoulder. There was a lot to like with Mathurin. Now you know why they traded Zubac for him. You know, he's got an upside there. I would play the Lakers first quarter, first half. And the Clippers are a little flat. Luka goes bananas in first quarters. And the Lakers, I think, are still a really bad third quarter team. So I think there's line value on the first quarter, first half. Clippers really don't have a lot of offense, okay? They start 2 primary defenders with Chris Dunn and Derrick Jones Jr. Lopez is easy to guard because he can't move much. Kawhi conserves energy. So they let the other guys run around and do some of the heavy lifting, and they got a decent bench. I think the Lakers can jump on them early. The question is, you just got to be prepared to press. If the Clippers cover the first quarter, they're going to be hanging on by a thread. I just think there's going to be a run for the Lakers at some point. And I think first half's probably the way to go now that I think about it a little more. But first quarter, first half.
Lakers 2.5 there in the first quarter tonight. And yes, we know that Kawhi does conserve energy. In fact, so
the
much
elephant in the room.
Yes, go ahead.
Kawhi's rebounds.
Here it is. Now it's plus money tonight over 6.5. Is he going to put his hands in the air and let everybody else get the rebounds though tonight? Is he going to do that?
There was one time in a tie game 5 minutes ago, or 8 minutes, 10 minutes ago, Valanciunas went to get Kawhi was there for the rebound, and Valanciunas went over him and got an offensive rebound. He didn't just go attack it. So I don't know what's going on with Kawhi. Honestly, I think less of him having watched yesterday's game. I'll tell you why. He's just on his own clock and calendar and everything. He just wants to get extra. He'll play hard at times. You don't get to the NBA. You don't win Finals MVP twice because you're not a competitive dude. But clearly, with Uncle Dennis nonsense and everything, he's trying when he wants to try. He's picking his spots. I mean, just the All-Star game, he goes off for 33 points in a quarter, and then he's not going off in the next game. He's passing the ball. So I just don't think this guy has the Kobe instinct. He's got the talent. I still think he might get there because, again, like they're going to need help on the boards, but off a win, they could get dusted. So I'm curious. Now, here's the thing. This is good sort of like emotional management. Part of me, the FOMO guy in me wants to bet the over. Okay. But then you're just like, you're peeing into the wind at some point. Like you just like, don't just let it go. Okay. Because what happens is if he goes over, you feel better about the loss yesterday. And even though you have no money on it, you're like, okay, so it was a one-off. It was bad kind of like luck of the bounce of the off the rim and one of those games. But you feel less mad at yourself. You missed it. But if you don't want to go 0-2 with this guy who's going to be on a minutes count, maybe expended some energy in the All-Star game. It's a weird, like it's a back-to-back coming out of the All-Star break. Probably not the best circumstance in terms of an ebb and flow of a season. So I would just let it go. Manage those emotions, live to fight another day.
There you go. Tonight, Lakers and Clippers, second game of the doubleheader. All right, let's roll through the other ones here. The Hornets and the Cavs. Now, both of them did play last night. Hornets, of course, lost at home to the Rockets. They are getting 5 at home from the Cavs, who destroyed Brooklyn last night. 228.5 the total. Yeah, actually 230, 230.5 the total.
We've talked about, teams that get blown out and everything like this. So they're facing Cleveland, and Cleveland, I thought, was a team that killed them. So I had the wrong sort of opponent for this one. I would play the Hornets, and I think Cleveland's kind of in cruise control. When you just crush a team like the Nets and everything, I don't think you're going to have the edge first quarter. I think the Hornets are going to have the edge, especially after, letting a game get away from them. I just think it's one team's going to want this game more than the other. Now, you're not getting a ton of points here. It's 1.5, but I think they're the better. I think they're going to be hungrier. I think they're the hungrier team, and that's why I want to go to battle with the, first quarter.
Hawks last night. Hornets are a full fade from now on. Wow, Steve going after the Hornets.
Wow, things have
full
changed.
Fade. Whoa, Hornets were very good to us, Steve. Let's give them a chance here.
How about the Rockets?
Get back in the mix.
Circling the wagons, us against the world, and Burnergate. Maybe that was
the cover.
Yeah,
they backdoored the cover.
Yeah, maybe it was more of a Rockets were just in the perfect spot to bet on them when they had all that turmoil in the locker room, or allegedly.
Atlanta off a win in Philly last night. They go home. So back-to-back nights for the Hawks against the Heat team coming back off the break, playing their first game in the Heat are -3.5.
I like the Heat first quarter. We've talked about it. They're the highest scoring team in the NBA in the first quarter. Hawks, off the win, nice win in Philly, travel. I think Miami's the play here. Now you wonder a little bit off the break, what happened? What were they doing in South? I mean, these are all factors like that. You just gotta, like I said yesterday, you got to do everything cautiously. Like just be really ease into this stuff.
Back-to-backs for both the Pacers and the Wizards against each other. As they played last night, Wizards 112-105 win over the Pacers. Well, head back to the hotel and right back to the Capital One. You'll see a better game tomorrow when Duke and Michigan play there, but tonight you get the Wizards -1.
So out of the last 42 instances of a back-to-back for the Wizards, how many times do you think they've won?
Oh, I couldn't. Actually, I feel like they got a couple of these. Did they? Yes or no? Have they gotten a couple of these on the second nights?
They're 1-41.
Oh, geez. I guess they haven't. That would be not
getting. They haven't been at home with the Pacers. It's obviously they're usually like 11-point dogs or something on the road. It's very different. But I actually do lean to the Wizards here. Pacers are sitting a bunch of guys. I think the Pacers are all in on tanking, and I'm not sure the Wizards are. I think the Wizards are the gold standard of tanking. They traded guys that were helping them win for guys who aren't playing, right? With AD and Trae Young. So that in and of itself is impressive work. I know they got the win, but I think they bounce back. I think they win again here. But I'm looking at some props. These are the ones I'm actually betting. So Kobe Brown was in the trade for the Matherin. He was on the Clippers, and he plays his tail off. And all these guys are sitting, like Nembhard's questionable. I think he goes off. I think he's going to get his points. But he is a willing passer. He's like a really thin Anthony Mason. He's jacked and he dribbles, but he's like methodical. But he's not as bulky as Anthony Mason was. And then Bub Carrington, he's going to get his looks. 11.5 is low. I like this one a lot. The Pacers don't play much D. Carrington's going to get his. I know teams typically split. That's why I said cautiously I like the Wiz. But I mean, guys who played yesterday aren't playing. Like, well, they're doing the back-to-backs just to save travel, right? Like they're trying to do like one less road trip a season for every team. So they're just trying to like sandwich the spots and really take advantage of all the money at the gate, right? Like they really want the Pacers are in town. Yeah, Thursday, Friday. I like Carrington over 10.5. It's trending towards my best bet. 11.5, excuse me.
Boy, Bub tonight there for the Wiz. All right, rapid fire the rest. The Jazz and the Grizzlies. Speaking of Tankathon, the Jazz are catching 2 in Memphis tonight. I thought about this for the under 2, but then I was like, you know what? It's the Jazz and the Grizzlies. I don't think I want to mess around with them.
Well, we got these two teams just did a trade, right, for Jaren Jackson
That's
Jr.
Right.
Jazz are under fire, although this is like a rounding error. The Jazz are getting fined. It's worth it to like get the number 1 pick. I mean, Cam Spencer props, things like that. I don't want to get involved in the side or total. I think Utah is willing to throw guys under the knife if they have to make them not play. They're like, he's got to get a procedure and like pay off a doctor to like tell them that they're hurt and they got a structural damage or something. So I don't know. That second unit though, the Jazz are in like Sensabaugh goes bombs threes. Collier attacks the rack.
Yeah.
Bailey's going to go off. I think you got to side with the Grizz here. Jazz can't go on the road and win this game. They're literally like, they won't be like given their per diem if they do something like that. Like they can't win the Jazz because the Jazz have a top 8 or top 9 protected. So like Utah's not messing around. Danny Ainge is not messing around here.
Any interest in laying 17 with the Thunder against the Nets tonight? After watching the
no J-Dub, excuse me, no J-Dub and SGA. And they're still laying 17.
Yeah. The Nets played last night. They're, maybe they're ready to go now.
Really? They didn't show up. I'll tell you that. Oh man. They're not good. They're not good.
They're not
good. I mean, Porter's getting his. Don't want to deprive him of any shots. Some guy named Nolan Traore shot 11 attempts from the game.
Ooh. You gotta be kidding me. Last game, and then we'll move on. I did think this for an under maybe too. The Nuggets back-to-back with travel in Portland. Portland's first game back, and it's 240.5. That might qualify for me maybe for an under tonight too.
Yeah, Portland likes. I mean, if Portland's smart, they're going to try to run them off the court. So Denver in the second half just pushed the pace because Clippers are old, right?
Yeah.
So they just ran. They just ran and ran and ran. I think the Blazers are going to do that to Denver. I like the Blazers here. Blazers are probably the right side here. Denver's can't be thrilled with how the game went yesterday. Like if Denver had won, this would be like Blazers minus 3.5 or something.
I'm going to play this under, I think, too. I don't like it as much as the other one, but 240.5 under with Denver and
big
Portland
number
tonight. There you go. NBA, big night for 9 games on a Friday night. If you like what you see here on Betting Weekly Live, of course, as you should, make sure you subscribe to the Betting Weekly Studios channel on YouTube, where you can check us out and all of our other shows, including released earlier today, Betting Weekly Extra Time. Dan Roebuck, Steve Wiss, and James Eastham as they preview another weekend in European soccer, including a discussion on Serie A's struggles in the Champions League. They've not done a good job there. Betting Weekly Extra Time on the Betting Weekly Studios channel on YouTube. Please go and subscribe. All right, 2 other fast things, Doug, before we get to the best bets in the Daily Double. We know it's going to be the United States and Canada Sunday morning. It's 5-0 U.S. They're not blowing this. They're going to get it. I already have USA to win the gold at plus 210 from weeks or months ago, whatever it was. So, and I'm obviously going to be rooting for USA anyway. I don't have any numbers in terms of look ahead, etc. For the head to head here, Doug. But I would say this: if they make it 5.5, I might go over. If they make it 6.5, I might go under. It's like one of those things. I actually
you don't think it's going to be a super tight, like physical game. I mean, we just saw the Americans in the women's side.
I think I would only play it if it got the under in the 6s. I don't think I'd even screw around with the over 5.5 if it was 5.5. I think that this, like you said, we saw this in the past when they've played in gold medal games. It's usually really tight, 2-1, 2-2 late in the third. I think that's where it is. And I'm going to have so much invested already in just the United States just winning the game and winning the gold that I probably wouldn't mess around with it except maybe live or in-game or something if it started really fast or started really slow. That would be it.
Hey, I defer to you on this one. So I'll pick my spots here and there with hockey, but not this game. I mean, obviously I'm rooting for the Americans. So for me to not get involved, I mean, I would look at a total, but then you're like, oh, torn and,
Right.
I like -6 here in the third period.
Yeah, and they have a power play for like the first minute and a half of the third period.
I'm all over the place. I like Slovakia plus 3.5 earlier. So
I know.
I can reverse middle myself.
And finally, do you have anything for UFC Fight Night tomorrow night?
I just think it's a couple things to discuss. First things first, we are now with CBS, right? So no more pay-per-view.
Right.
And Dana sort of basically send out a memo for with the fight bonuses. He wants finishes, right? So the UFC is trying to structure some of the matchups to have more finishes. Okay. So they're incentivized, things like that. So whether we see that play out now, Sean Strickland is like the last guy you should pick for finishes because he is a patient striker, stand up, all that. The guy usually goes to decisions. His last 4 have been decisions. He won with a TKO in the second round before that. So he's an interesting guy because he sets things up. Like he'll play not possum first rounds, but he's very intelligent and he sort of gauges his opponent throughout the first round to say like, okay, what's their game plan? How fast is he? He kind of just becomes very calculating. It's a lot of data processing. Now that's what he does as a favorite usually. Now he's a dog here. I don't think the UFC loves him with some of the comments he's made over the last year or so. So I think Hernandez probably gets this done. I just don't want to lay the 278. But I'd be careful on over-unders with what I was saying throughout the entire card. I think they're incentivized for fights to end early, all that stuff. So you just got to be careful with the stuff. And I'm not saying they're fixed or anything silly like that. It's just the matchups are structured accordingly for, it's like when Zach Edey, when he was at Purdue, would go play. Purdue went and played a game in Toronto. It's like, oh, he's from there. Like there's things that are like with intended consequence. Like you're structuring. We don't send we're not sending to Australia like our worst, like the Titans against the Browns. Like we're sending them like high flying teams, right? Like our first debut, the NFL's first debut game. So you just got to be, just take into account what the league wants and things like that. So I just don't see Strickland eking this out, but I don't want to lay the 278 either.
There you go. Fight night in Houston. Dougie Fight Picks. Love the show as always, fellas. Thank you, Henry.
What I used to say on Sports Center and Daily Wager, I would begin the segment using the whole fist there, Doc.
There
Quote
you go.
Some Fletch.
Gotta have a Fletch.
I did that
if you could sprinkle
boxing
Fletch
Friday nights.
Is that
with
Dr.
the Teddy
Barber?
Atlas sitting next to me? I did using the whole fist there, Doc.
That's Babar, not Babar, Dr. Babar for Fletch. I know my Fletch too, Doug. I'm all in on that. There you go. Let's go. Best bets and the Daily Double for tonight on a Friday. I am going, Doug, with the same strategy as last night. I am taking 2 teams coming off of the long NBA break. They have not played yet. This number is very, very high, and I'm hoping we don't even have flag in there for the Mavs. I'm hoping we get ourselves a little bit of a slow start. Under 239.5 for the Mavericks and the Timberwolves for me this evening.
I'm stunned that it's this high of a total. So I'm going to be watching it very, very closely because I'm just baffled. Like, I'm like, what's this pay? And it's worth mentioning, like odds makers don't like all these guys out. And they like that Nets game. They can't make a power rating on the Nets, this version of the Nets. So I think you're onto something here. I think the number's way too high. We'll see. I mean, the two will theoretically have good defense, right? So I like that play. We're going to hit the Daily Double because we're going to Miami of Ohio. Money line. No, just kidding. I'm going to go team total over 81.5. I think they get in the high 80s here. I think they're going to shoot the lights out. I think Bowling Green is bad and dumb enough to run with them. And look, the last game went 176 combined. We only need, close to that. We don't, we can go a 90 to 80 win, 85, 75. So I think this matchup invites a back and forth game, and they can shoot the heck out of the ball. So let's go team total over for the Red Hawks. Don't have to worry about covering the 8.5.
So Miami of Ohio, team total over 81.5 with Dallas and Minnesota under 239.5 in the NBA. Daily double for Friday night plus 257 at Bet Rivers. Let's go, Doug, into the weekend, which should be a very fun weekend. We got monster college basketball games. We have got the gold medal with USA and Canada Sunday morning. We have a really big weekend, and we will be back, of course, on Monday, 4 p.m. East, 1 p.m. Pacific, for a new week of Betting Weekly Live. Mike Carver, Doug Kezirian, enjoy the weekend, enjoy all the action, and we will see you back on Monday.